I wanted to share some exciting personal things. Family is expecting another baby to join us early spring. With that comes one of my favorite traditions, and I'm calling it a tradition because this is the second time I'm doing it. I did this for my daughter while I was pregnant, all 9 projects in 9 months. I've shared about this before, just sharing all the things that I made for my daughter while I was pregnant with her. And so the premise is every month I make something for our baby. Not only is it for the baby when they arrive, give them these special gifts, but it is for myself in a way of just preparing my heart, preparing my mind, and getting to just focus in on some special things to make for our baby through this time. I find it so just meditative and a time of prayer that I can spend thinking about our baby, praying over our baby, dreaming of who they'll become, who they're going to be, how they're going to impact our family. I started this because with my daughter, when you're pregnant at first, in the first trimester, I was not sick. It was really hard for me to even believe that I was pregnant. And so this practice of I'm going to make something for her and kind of get my mind thinking about her. And it was just really special, really helpful, helped me, I feel like, connect to her in a way. It has just been one of the favorite things that I've done. So I actually started this last year. We were pregnant last year around this time, and I started making a quilt because I knew I wanted to do the projects and do one every month. And so I started on a quilt and I started making it. And during that time, a quilt takes a long time. During that time, I actually miscarried and we lost our baby. And it was obviously a very difficult time. And so having this quilt that it was, I think, half made by the time we lost baby, I had started the quilt, but I hadn't finished it. And even in the months that followed that I worked just on the quilt at night by myself, I did a lot of hand stitching to it. It was so helpful for me. It was healing for me. It really helped me process through and mourn and grieve. And even though we wouldn't see the baby we dreamed of in this blanket, in this quilt, it was and still is such a special thing for us. And I've shared this quilt before because I think it's beautiful. I love how it turned out, but I've never really shared the story behind it of how special it is and how helpful it was for me during that time of grieving. I wanted to share that to bring light that even in the making, things don't always happen like we hope they will. And even in our grief and disappointment and pain, just how healing and what a gift it is to create and make things with our hands. And for me, that has always just been something really special. So I wanted to share that in case you are in a season of grief, a season of loneliness, a season of you don't really know what's next. I really encourage you to pick up something to create. Maybe it's just piecing little squares together. It doesn't have to be anything, incredible. It doesn't have to be anything you have to show anyone, but there's so many benefits to creating, and I think that is by far one of my favorites. Thanks for letting me share that story, and I'm going to kind of walk through the projects that I've planned for these next 9 months. I mean, technically it's 6 months by now. I've made a few already. I'm behind. I will say this isn't 9 projects in 9 months exactly because the first 3 or 4 months of pregnancy are rough, or they were for me this time around. And so I'm technically behind on my projects, but that's okay. I think the goal is to just have 9 projects at the end, and the goal is to create. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to achieve anything. So the first project I made for this series and for our baby is a whale toy. This was a kit that I bought from Toys by Polina. She is just an incredible maker. I highly recommend you follow her and buy her patterns and kits. And this was so fun to make. It was so enjoyable to actually have something to put my hand to and not really have to think through a lot of the details because it was already laid out for me. I made it during a time where I really needed some inspiration and like a spark of just creating, and I feel like it came at the perfect time. So I'm really excited about that. And the cool thing is it comes as a kit of 2 whales. So I'm actually going to make the second whale and give that to my daughter. So my daughter and our new baby will also have little whales. My next one is a wipes cover. I think that would be simple, super fun to make. There's some inspiration that I found for this. If I don't make that, I'll probably make just like a stack of burp cloths or something that's useful in that sense, something that I've already have the fabric for, that's pretty straightforward and can just bring an afternoon of creativity to my day. The next project is one we've already started working on, and this is a collaborative project of me and my daughter. And actually my husband's joined in, our neighbor has joined in. It's been really fun. So we have started, I saw this years ago and I have saved it and have been really excited to make something like this. And this is a hand-drawn quilt. I don't know actually what to call it, like hand-drawn or art quilt or something. So I grabbed this huge sheet of white quilting cotton, and I invited my daughter to draw all over it. We've been drawing on it layers after layers, just every day for a few weeks, and we've just been like picking it up and drawing on it a few minutes at a time. And it's messy, it's fun, it's cute. So I'm gonna take this large sheet of white paper, cut it up into squares, and quilt it all together. I think I'm going to actually add in some other fabrics and make it like quilty word. Just make it really special. So that's a quilt that I'm working on. And we use these like fabric markers so they won't wash off. And I will share the process once we're finished. And it's been really fun taking it outside, and like our neighbors have come over and drawn on it a little bit. So that's been really fun. I think that's the one I might be most excited about. The next project is a floor cushion. So like a play mat that you put on the ground. And this will just have a little bit of padding, cushioning that we can just lay on the ground where we know it's a clean spot for the baby. We'll do it in like a circle shape or a square. And I think I'm going to do like the detail on top with quilted detail, meaning like just using scrap fabrics to add in special details, or I'm going to use stitching as the detail. So stay tuned for that. For the cozy seasons, I'm going to make baby slippers. I know that babies do not wear shoes. I know that for sure, like from my daughter, but little slippers are fun to just put on their feet when it's cold outside. And so I'm gonna make a little pair of baby slippers. And I'm going to use our mini slipper pattern for this and probably use it out of a Sherpa, or since Sylvie's spring baby, maybe more lighter weight fabric. I'm not quite sure about that one, but I think those will be fun to make. And since it's a pattern that I can easily follow, that's the goal, is to just like allow my mind to rest and dream and pray while I'm making the project. And then for December, I will make a stocking. And so this will be with our baby's name and a stocking that we can hang up this year on the fireplace and that they'll have for years to come. A lot of these projects I did not make for my daughter. I made different ones for her, which you can see in this video. One that I'm about to share is one I did make for my daughter that I'm going to also recreate. And this is a letter quilt, and this is using their initial and designing like a floral pattern and doing a large embroidery on a quilt. And my daughter uses this blanket every day, and so I'm really excited to make another one, and I hope to release just the full alphabet so that you can one day make this as well. So this next one, I have like a little question mark beside it, which all of these are subject to, if I want to make them, find the materials and motivation, of course. But the next one is a fleece jumpsuit. I saw like little ideas of this online and just thought it would be really cute and simple. So we are having a spring baby. I don't know if this is necessary. It would be cozy to make in the winter months, and maybe I'll just make it for a size next year, if that makes sense. So I have a question mark beside it, and maybe I'll fill it in with something else. Tell me if you have any ideas on some baby gifts. And then lastly, I'm going to make a pair of Rhodes overalls for our baby. Just a little pair of clothing that they can put on while we're out and about, especially spring and summer. I feel like babies don't really need a lot of clothing, but it would be cute to make a tiny little pair of Rhodes overalls. This is just a fun project for me to work on, especially while I'm pregnant. And a lot of these are just low energy projects because we know that energy comes and goes while you're pregnant. So we'll see what I get done, but I'm excited to have all these projects. There'll be little hand-me-downs, ones that we can put away. If you want some more inspiration on baby gifts, then click this next video. There's some patterns for you. There's some tutorials, and they're all very simple and fun to make.